Welcome to Power, Passion, and Purpose, the driving force behind women entrepreneurs. On this episode, Elle Davis, founder and owner of Circle of Wives. From tragedy to triumph.
On this episode of Power, Passion, and Purpose, we discover how this NYU graduate, mother, and entrepreneur found new purpose within the midst of pain.
My name is Elle Davis. That's E-L-L-E. I am 38 years old. I sometimes forget that, but I'm 38 years old. I have a master's degree in social work from NYU. And what's interesting is prior to being an entrepreneur, I was in the youth development sector. And as an entrepreneur, I still am somewhat in the youth development sector because one of the businesses that I have is a consultant to youth development agencies and other nonprofit agencies. So I still kind of do that business as well. My company is called the Elevate Group. And the Elevate Group, I'm the CEO of the Elevate Group. And the Elevate Group is really the umbrella of a couple of different brands. So within the Elevate Group, one of my primary focuses is called the Circle of Wives. And within the Circle of Wives, I am targeting married women between the ages of 31 and 47 who have roughly, 1 to 2 kids, who've been married for 7 years or younger. So that's really the target that I focus on for Circle of Wives specifically. In 2009, I was basically forced out of a position, and I wasn't sad about it at all. Like most people get laid off and they're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I got laid off and planned 2 trips. So, for me, it was like, yes, okay, now let's move on to something bigger and better. I just knew that there was something more for me instead of being at a job, at a place where I had to be from 9 to 5. I knew that there was just something more. And so after, doing consulting, independent consulting for quite some time, I then started doing work as Elle Smith Consulting. And so that was kind of the first iteration of my business and allowing it to grow. And then over time, it has just transformed into something more, because I also knew that as much as I loved youth work and supporting nonprofit organizations, I knew that wasn't the only, I knew that wasn't the only thing I had to give. I knew that there was something more that I wanted to give the world and to build my legacy. So this is 2015. In 2014, I went to a speakers conference who was put on by Marshawn Evans. And just a few months after that, I went to an overflow retreat put together by Monique Caradine. And during that time period, I called them my M&Ms, right? Because Marshawn and Monique are 2 powerhouse women that really were there for me without even knowing that they were there for me at a very pivotal point in my life. And so I would have to say that those 2 stand out as just 2 dynamic female entrepreneurs who I don't even know if they really know and understand what they give to the women that follow them, to the people that follow them. And they're just dynamic. They're my M&Ms. I love chocolate. I like candy. Those 2 are my M&Ms. I think Black female entrepreneurs are on the rise and have been on the rise because, quite frankly, we want to own our time, and we want a lifestyle freedom that was not awarded to our parents or, to our aunts or other family members. We are still mothers. We are still wives. And we want things that we're not seeing in the community. We have these problems that we want solutions to. And instead of seeking out the solutions, we become the solution. So we become the solution. We figure out a way to make it happen. And I think sometimes unintentionally, at least it's my story, unintentionally we become entrepreneurs. It becomes so important to us that we make it happen however we need to make it happen. And I see that across the board, where women are like, I want to be with my children. I want to spend more time with my family. So I have to make this work in a different way. And so oddly enough, a little over a month ago, I went to a networking event. It was a panel in the middle of the afternoon. And although it was being put on by another woman, she was not very welcoming of me bringing my daughter. People don't think about the woman who is the entrepreneur, who has the kid, who either A, may not have the support, B, just may want to bring their child with them because they believe it's a positive environment. And that was very eye-opening for me, because it was the first time that I felt like I had had a slap on the wrist for bringing my child into what I thought was a positive networking business environment. Men don't have to face that, because typically, even if men are fathers, number one, most of the time they're not bringing their children, with them to work or to this networking meeting or any of that. They're not bringing their child with that. And they just, no bash to men, but they just don't think about parenting in the same way. As women, we're just nurturers, and we always want what's best for our child, and we always want our children there. And so it just becomes something that stays at the forefront of my mind as an entrepreneur, is how is this going to impact my daughter? And how is this going to affect my daughter? And what I learned is that because this female entrepreneur is not a mom and has not been placed in the situation in which she had to take her daughter somewhere with her, that she didn't understand it either. And she didn't see it from my viewpoint. And that's okay, but it's also an opportunity for me to educate. The reality of it is if I want to go to the bar every day with my daughter, I can, because that's the law, as long as she's with me. But I just think being a mother as an entrepreneur is a way different ballgame than anything else. Forget the, trying to climb the ladder and the social ills that come with like financing for your business, depending upon what your business is. Like, all of those things are very challenging, but when it comes to being an entrepreneur and being a mom entrepreneur, being a mompreneur, as many women have called it, it's a new situation that many of us don't think about.
My name is Joshua Mercer. I'm an Allstate agent here in Chicago's Beverly area. My agency's been open for about 1.5 years now. My mom's been an agent for about 25 years now, so ever since the age of 7, I've been following in her footsteps. Been in this community since 3rd grade, so I was pretty much born and raised here, so I know it like the back of my hand. I'm passionate about being an Allstate agent because every day I get to solve people's problems and provide them with peace of mind. If someone has a major incident or a crisis that happens in their house or in their life, I'm one of the first people that they call. And I feel good knowing that I'm backed by Allstate, that I can pretty much help them do that process and provide them with that peace of mind. We believe that when it comes to customers, we should communicate with them at least every 6 months just to review their policy for any major changes that may happen in their life. Our philosophy is that the insurance that you have right now may not be the right coverage that you need. We want to make sure that we check in with our customers as much as possible to review their coverages.
How do I balance? To be quite frankly, I'm not sure. There are a couple of non-negotiables, right? So if I'm in Chicago on a Sunday, pretty much non-negotiable, no matter how tired I am, I'm attending church. And then a couple other things is spending time for me with friends. And it doesn't have to be, once a week, once a month. It just, I have to make sure that that time is in there, that I'm just hanging out with my girlfriends, where we're laughing, being silly, and I don't have anything to worry about other than to being in that place of where I am. I was at an event on Sunday having a conversation with a woman who also is an entrepreneur, married with a child. And, her advice and the way she talks about it is that as long as she can be two things at any given time. So she's a mom, she's an entrepreneur, and she's a wife. She says she's not going to get hit on all three every day. But as long as she hits on two out of the three every day, she's doing good, right? So she's like, some days she's a great entrepreneur and a great mom. She may not be such a great wife, but she has to get her husband to understand today is not about you. I love you, but I can't be the wife that you need me to be today. The next day, she might be a great wife and a great mom. And her business, it's not that it's struggling, but she's just not feeling it for that day. And I think the balance is in being okay with not being on top of your game with every single thing all the time. That is where you find the balance. Your sweet spot is what can you do for that day, and keeping your focus on that and allowing the next day to take care of itself.
All good things must come to an end. And on that note, we've reached the conclusion of this episode. Be sure to tune in next time for the heart-touching conclusion of From Tragedy to Triumph on Power, Passion, and Purpose, the driving force behind women entrepreneurs.
Coming up on the next episode of Power, Passion, and Purpose.
Call my parents, call paramedics. Paramedics get there before my parents do. And it's probably 7 or 8 between the paramedics and the firemen, probably 7 or 8 come into the house. And I knew as soon as the first one came out, because they don't say anything. They just kind of walk out of the house. I knew he wasn't breathing. I knew he had died.